this four-step process, which we're going to simplify and use some of your examples, um, you know, it's something that you can do, and it's something that colleges want to see students taking a proactive approach.
Recording in progress.
So the good news for you guys is you've already successfully done a lot of what's required just by being here today. So being in this program shows that you have the initiative, you have the work ethic, you're willing to put in the time and effort to do what you love, which is awesome. So what does that four-step plan look like? So we're simplifying quite a bit, right? So we're taking all that and we're trying to figure out how you can follow a very basic approach to doing what you love in college. And the first step is something that you guys have already done just by taking that 20 to 30 seconds and thinking about what you want to do, and that's reflecting. So it's a really simple but incredibly important step. And the basic idea is it's a lot easier to find what you're looking for when you know what that is. And I say that, but when I was trying to figure out what this would look like, I went back and I looked some of the scholarship or the scholar sessions from earlier, and Austin Slater was on one of those, Giants outfielder, you guys probably know, and he was talking about how when he was at Stanford, he pursued a lot of different interests. He didn't just have his head down and follow one thing. So I think it's important that you realize you can pursue a lot of different interests in college. You don't have to know what that is. It might be piano or painting, wrestling, basketball now, but by the time you graduate from high school, maybe it's something different. But because this process is really simple, it's something that you can repeat and adjust. So thinking more deeply about what your interests are, what you're passionate about, and how you want to fit that into your college experience. So there's not really any wrong way to do this, but it's important that you consider, the level of commitment you have to this passion or what you love doing, and how you want to be involved in it. Because to take an example, let's just say piano, which I see on there. If piano is something that you love to do, that you want to pursue in college, it's very different for you to major in piano performance than it is to form a band with your friends on the weekend where you play keyboard and perform for other college students, right? So those are two very different college experiences. So you want to think about, how do I, what level of involvement do I want to have with this, and how far do I take it? And then when you know that, you can move on to step 2, which I'm not quite ready to get to yet. But I think it's really important that you're honest with yourselves too. A lot of times we do things because we think someone else wants us to do it. Maybe it's a parent, it's a coach, something else, and we have to be honest. Are we really? Is this something that I want to spend a large part of my time in my life doing? And then you have to be realistic. And then again, it's okay for you to pursue multiple things or change your mind. So once you have an idea of what you're passionate about and how you want that to be involved in your college experience, you start to do some research, right? So what opportunities are out there? What schools are going to lend to me being able to do this, whether it's as a major, as part of a club that they already have existing. You want to figure out, starting with just a very basic Google search or a YouTube search, you want to get involved and discover, hey, how can I explore this opportunity in college? And so you want to look for places that are going to support what you're doing. And then if they don't have, let's say, and I didn't see anything too crazy, but let's say you're really into video games, and maybe you look at a local college and they don't have any video game club, they don't have any computer science major. Well, now you want to do some research and find out, are they willing to support you creating these opportunities for yourself? Are they willing to help you create a video game club? Or are they willing to allow you to take an American Studies major where you have some flexibility in what you study and turn that towards video games and study how video games impacted American culture, or whatever it might be. So um, these two steps, step 1 and 2, it's not necessarily that you finish one and you move to 2, because they both really influence each other. So if I think I want to be a performance major in piano, um, and then I do some research and I realize, well, I'm going to be playing the piano for 100 hours a week, and that's not really, I love piano, but not that much, right? Or I don't want to study classical music. So now you go back to the drawing board and you figure out how you want that to be a part of your college education. So these two things, they go back and forth, and like I said earlier, it's okay if they change. You can expect them to change, but it's kind of a constant process of bouncing back and forth between these two steps. And then step 3, that's kind of where your interest and your love for something, it meets up with your research, right? So given what you love to do and what's going to make you happy, and then also the opportunities that you have available, how are you going to achieve your goals and make that happen? And so what you want to do in step 3 is you want to make these steps concrete, actionable. These are things that you can check off almost like a list. So it might be something like, I want to figure out what the requirements are to be a piano major, or I'm going to email the program chair to find out what opportunities exist for people passionate about piano outside of the piano major, or are there tryouts for basketball that I need to worry about? Are there tryouts for wrestling? Are there auditions for the play? Do I have to share an art portfolio in order to get into the art program if I'm a painter? So there's a bunch of different steps that are involved in that research, but you want to lay out a clear path from I'm passionate about this to I've learned about the opportunities over here, so I'm passionate about it. I know what opportunities are out there. Here's how I'm going to make that happen for me. So that's a really, really important step. You want to make it very clear, items that you can just kind of check off as you go. So we do that with the baseball players as well, where we talk to them about the hoops that they're going to have to jump through if they want to play college baseball, interacting with coaches, getting evaluated by coaches, visiting campus, and each one of these is an actionable item that they need to kind of tick off, and when they do, they can see themselves moving closer to doing what they love in college, which is awesome. And then step 4 is just taking action, right? So if you've done a good job kind of evaluating what you're passionate about, and you've done a good job understanding the opportunities that are out there, you've laid out actionable steps that you need to take to get there, it's just a matter of putting in the work, which, like I said earlier, you're here, so we know that you're willing to put in the work and in our position to do that. So kind of a simple 4-step process, but it works really well, and it works for anything. So all the stuff that you put into the chat there, I know that this stuff will work for that, which is great. So we can get to the next slide. Why is this stuff important? Well, colleges are really looking for students who are willing to do these 4 things. And then colleges, they want passionate individuals who want to pursue their interests, right? Because they know that if you love what you do, then you're going to be willing to put a lot of time and effort into doing it, and that's going to lead to success. So if you think about the classes you're in right now or your extracurriculars, you're probably pretty good at basketball because you love to do it and you spend more time doing it. Whereas if there's a class or something that you're required to do, you just don't have the same type of motivation. Well, colleges know that, and they want passionate individuals who can study and incorporate their interests into their college experience. So they know that when you do that, you're going to have success. And then it's also about, if you have a passion that's really unique, it actually makes you a more interesting applicant to that school. So colleges are constantly looking for ways to make their student body more diverse and incorporate all those interests that you have. And so if you have something that maybe you were scared to share in the chat because it sounded silly, that actually may be a key for you getting into the school that you want, because colleges are looking to expand on things that they can offer and things that students bring to their campus. So keep that in mind. And then I think one of the speakers later is going to touch on this a little bit about scholarships, but there are scholarships for everything. I mean, just a quick Google search, I found there's scholarships for people that have certain last names. There's scholarships for different levels of community service, which you all do and you could write about and apply for, which is awesome. You're already in a scholarship program already, so you have a leg up. Scholarships for golf caddies, inventions, twins. I have a set of twins at home, so if you're a twin, there's scholarships just for twins. And I was able to find stuff like, to the most creative person who wears an outfit made entirely of duct tape to their senior prom or something like that, there's a scholarship for that. So if you can dream it up, there's probably a scholarship for it. So make sure that you're on the lookout for that to help make school more affordable. And so just to put kind of a neat little bow on here, some key takeaways: colleges want creative students who pursue diverse interests, and then there's many ways for you to do what you love in college. So it's more about not following someone else's path, but what's the best path for you? What's the best way for you to do what you love, get the most out of it? That's what you want to do, and then, of course, check for scholarships. So because there's a lot of you that are interested in baseball or even other sports, go ahead and check out our social media. We're really active on Twitter, and then we have over 1,000 articles, I think it is, on how to navigate the college recruiting process. So a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily particular to baseball. It's just coming up with a plan for how you get there. So check that out, and then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is right there, and always happy to answer individual questions and lend support. So that's all I have. If there's questions, happy to answer it. But like I said, thanks for taking your time out of your day to listen to me, and I hope you got something out of it that can help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ethan. That is so helpful, and I love how, you can apply it to any other hobbies or passions as well. But I will pause here. Does anyone have any questions for Ethan about either playing baseball, softball in college, or anything else, getting to college, doing what you love?
I'll put my email in the chat there too. Hopefully that's a sign that you guys got something out of it and not that you didn't. But if you're too shy...
Isaiah has a question.
What's up, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah. Great presentation. I have a question. So, like, for instance, when you were doing, like, your college letter, did you include your passion within? Did you talk about your passion to the people you were writing the letter to the college?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So when I did my college application, and you may have noticed that I get a little nervous even when I'm talking to students at the beginning of my presentation. So I actually wrote about some of my anxiety with public speaking and baseball. So I compared baseball, where I could play in front of hundreds or thousands of people and not worry about making a mistake, versus public speaking, where I was filled with all sorts of anxiety. So I did talk about my passion, and I used that as a way to, I guess, explain my potential, but also point out a weakness that I wanted to improve on.
Thank you.
Yep, good question.
Awesome. Any other last questions while we have an expert on the line? All right. Well, thank you again, Ethan. Thank you so much for your time and for, I know that, yes, Ethan mentioned he has baby twins and another child as well. So he coaches baseball and does a million other things. So he's a very busy person, and we're really grateful for your time. And yeah, just thanks again for joining us. And I'll be sure to send over the slide deck to all of the scholars after this call.
Yeah, and please, like I said, please reach out if you have questions. Don't be shy. It can be something super basic or something specific, but really appreciate you guys having me on, and good luck. These are great opportunities to learn, so take advantage.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are going to shift gears now, and we are going to do a college and career panel with 3 of our regional ambassadors. And you all may know that when you played Junior Giants, your league had an ambassador, and usually it's like a college student who is from your community, who works with the Giants Community Fund and then also with the local agency like the Park and Rec Department that runs your league. And so with these 3 regional ambassadors, they've kind of moved up to a higher level in the ambassador world, but they all started as regular ambassadors in those leagues. And then we also have Chrissy on our staff, who was also an ambassador in Citrus Heights. But they all have different stories of how they got to where they are, what they studied in college, all that good stuff. So I am going to pass it over to Chrissy, and she is going to facilitate a conversation with 3 of our regional ambassadors.
All right. Thanks, Bailey. Hi, everyone. As Bailey mentioned, my name is Chrissy Camilleri. I'm a Junior Giants coordinator for the fund here. I see a lot of familiar faces, so thanks for being with us tonight. I'm so excited to welcome some friends of our Giants Community Fund and Junior Giants family. So please welcome Daisy Gradado. We have Jen Smith and Haley Johnson. One more pin needed. Awesome. We have our whole crew here. So, ladies, let's just start with the basics. Quick introduction for each of you. So share with us name, where you're from, where you served as an ambassador, and how long you've been with the Giants Community Fund. And let's start with Daisy.
Awesome. Hi, scholars. My name is Daisy Wardado. I am from Citrus Heights, so right outside of Sacramento. I started in Citrus Heights as an ambassador in 2015. Yeah, I'll pass it to Jen.
All right. Hey, guys. I'm Jen Smith. I'm from Turlock, California. I've served 8 years with Junior Giants, and I started in Winton, which is a teeny tiny town, and then went to Keys, which is another teeny tiny town, and then it was kind of Stanislaus County. And I'm a regional. So, yeah, Kaylee, go for it.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. My name's Kaylee. I'm originally from Santa Cruz, but I currently live in Southern California now. I served as an ambassador for the Watsonville League, which is in Santa Cruz County, and I started in 2014, so I've also been involved with the fund in some capacity for 8 seasons now.
All right, we have a group of all-stars here. Thanks again for being here with our scholars. So, our main goal is we want to kind of share our college experiences with you all and get you thinking about all the cool schools that are out there for you to learn more about and apply one day. So let's share all of our college background. So where did you go? Why did you choose that college? And include also if you attended community college first or anything about your college experience that you think would be beneficial for everyone on the call today. So I went to St. Mary's College in California. I studied communication. My sister also went there. We're first-generation college students. And I actually decided to go there with the help of Daisy, who is my god sister. And when I was interested in I went to an overnight that they were providing for admitted students. And I wanted to go check it out. So I stayed with Daisy. So Daisy, share why you chose St. Mary's.
Yeah, so I actually, in high school, I was in a program called AVID. I don't know if you guys know about it, but it's like a college and career readiness program. And so one of the cool things about the program is they often take your sophomores and juniors on college tours. So I got to, experience a wide variety of different schools. And I was like kind of stuck between like, do I want to go to like a smaller school where my, professors would probably know me, we'll have like, bigger school, where I might not get to know my professors as much, but there's more kids, so there's more to do, and kind of this like more bigger environment. So I fell in love with both St. Mary's, on the smaller scale, and then Cal Poly and Elizabeth for the bigger scale. And so those were my top two for the longest time. And it just kind of worked out where, as I was kind of going through the application process, I kind of, did some reflection on myself and realized like, ooh, I kind of need that smaller kind of support for just my academic needs. Like, I kind of need to like take things a little bit slow, and I'm a person who really has to kind of work for their grades. Like, it just doesn't really come naturally to me. So I felt like I would be overwhelmed in a bigger class size. So that's what ended up helping me choose St. Mary's.
That's awesome. Thanks for that background. Jen, what about you? Where did you go to college, and why did you choose that institution?
All right, so I went to a small private college down in Orange County called Vanguard University of Southern California, is its official name. In high school, my high school was the second largest high school in California, as 1,000 people. So I was interested in checking out something smaller than that. So, which is what I ended up doing. I went on a preview weekend, kind of like Chrissy did, and fell in love with the campus. They had cereal like at every single meal in the cafeteria, which was a big selling point for me, if I'm being completely honest. And it was close to the beach in Disneyland. So all those things just kind of pulled together to feel like the right place. And it ended up being that. Like, I made lifelong friends there that I'm still friends with. I was a communication studies major, and it just prepared me in a different way than you would have. So, and I used to get to go to Disneyland every Friday, so I was very spoiled.
Oh my gosh, that's
so
awesome.
Think about the places around where you want to go to college, and like take all of that into consideration as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I knew I wanted to go to a lot of Giants games, so I wanted to go to a Bay Area school, and that was the St. Mary's offer. So, yeah, if you're a Disney person, check out Vanguard for sure. Okay, Kaylee, share with us your college dream.
Awesome. I went to San Jose State, where I majored in hospitality, tourism, and event management. I chose San Jose State because I was living at home in Santa Cruz at the time, and I knew that I would need to commute to school. I had a full-time job, so I wasn't going to quit my job, so I knew that I needed to stay, close to where that was. So I picked one that was relatively close, but that also had the department that I wanted to study. And then before going to San Jose State, I actually did go to community college. I went to Cabrillo, and honestly, I loved it. The professors in community college are amazing and incredible. I don't know if that's particular to Cabrillo College, but I learned a lot, and I had a really great experience there. I studied just general education while I was there, so I was able to experience a bunch of different departments and kind of figure out what it was I wanted to pursue once I transferred. So that was the best fit for me. I'm glad I did that, and then I went to San Jose State after.
Awesome. I love hearing all of the different journeys here. Okay, so that's how you decided on where to go. Now, once you were there, share with us a little bit about what you were involved in. For me at St. Mary's, I knew I really wanted to get involved with leadership opportunities, so I was thinking of welcome leader. I did like social media reporting on campus, and then ended up being a resident advisor, and I was super passionate about decorating the hall and making it a safe and welcoming space, and wanted to also take advantage of free housing and that scholarship. So those are a couple of things that St. Mary's offered. But Daisy, what about you? What were you involved with during college?
Yeah, my first year or so, I really wasn't involved in that much, and I honestly kind of regretted it looking back now. But I was a liberal and civic studies major, so kind of like liberal arts, and part of my major requirement was doing community service. And so I got the opportunity to work in different kind of volunteer opportunities. And once my community service hours were kind of done, I still kept in touch with our I guess volunteer office, if you could call it. I'm not even sure what the proper name would be for it. But that was really cool because I got to experience, like, they would email me, like, hey, like, this is coming up that, you know, if you want to help out. So that was really cool. And I got to do some really awesome experiences through that. But my junior year of college, I studied abroad. And when I came back, our study abroad office asked me if I would be an advisor for other students who wanted to study abroad. And that was awesome because I just had a great experience, and I got to coach and mentor other students and helping them with their travel experience. So that was very cool. But yeah, I definitely wish I would have gotten more involved earlier on.
And where did you study abroad again?
In Spain, a city.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Cool. And that was your junior year?
Yeah, junior year of college. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Okay, Jen, what were you involved in?
Kind of like Daisy, starting out the first 2 years, it's kind of an adjustment, being away from home and figuring out that balance of all that. So the first 2 years, I just kind of went to class, made friends, but didn't really super do anything. And then in between sophomore and junior year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to do it right. So I ended up being the junior class treasurer. So I was on student government my junior year. And I know, so fancy. And our big thing that we had to do was to put on the junior senior banquet. So we ended up renting or getting the venue. A bunch of Hollywood places have done shows in. And so it was really cool, and it felt really neat to be a part of making that actually happen. And then senior year, I was on student activities, and I was the on-campus activities coordinator. And so I was in charge of helping to put on all the different events that we had throughout the year for the whole college, and then working also with the off-campus. So we did all-school Mighty Ducks game, or we went and played ball and soccer, anything fun and big that we could think of, we did. So it was really awesome to be a part of that.
That is a fun fact. I didn't know you were a treasurer. I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
That is awesome fun fact about that.
Thank you.
Kaylee, tell us about what you were involved in college.
So I have a not fun answer to this question, but it is honest. I wasn't involved in a lot during college for a couple different reasons. So first, I was a commuter student, so I lived about 50 miles away from my campus. Second, I worked full-time. I actually worked 2 jobs throughout college if you consider being an ambassador. My second summer job, and I also had a full-time job. So I didn't have a ton of time for on-campus activities. I kind of crammed all of my classes in my 2 days off each week. But silver lining of that is I'm just honestly really proud to be able to say that I paid for college myself because I just put my head down and worked really hard. So I hope that's not the reality for everybody listening to this call, but it is an honest answer. And if you find yourself there, just know that it's doable and you'll get through it, and it's fine.
Now, Kaylee, I love that you're providing that perspective too, because at the end of the day, you get involved so you can learn something, you can grow as a person and know your community well and know yourself better too. And so that can come in the form of creating a really busy schedule for yourself, and you learn how to effectively time manage, be responsible with the money that you do earn so it can go towards your education. So at the end of the day, you're really just trying to learn more about the world and yourself, whether that's through jobs or through these extracurriculars on campus too. So it can kind of be dual depending on what your situation is. Okay, so we talked about what you were involved in, and kind of digging deeper to this college experience. What's that one regret? If you could go back and you could do your college experience all over again and share with these scholars, hey, keep this on your radar, what would that be? Because for me, it was definitely studying abroad. I feel like I totally missed it by the time I wanted to. I was an RA, so I couldn't leave campus for a full semester. And now I have the travel bug. I really want to go to Europe. So I wish I took advantage of that while I was in college. And apparently signed up for mentoring lessons with Daisy. I did not do that. But Daisy, what about you? What's that one thing that you wish you did in college?
I think mine would be to get involved earlier on. I think I had a really positive last 2 years of college, and I highly suggest if it's possible to study abroad. It was one of the highlights of my life. But I think the first 2 years like, I think I was just so focused with, like, you know, being away from home and how do I fit in and, what are my friends doing, and, like, kind of so caught up with that I, like, didn't really stop and be like, oh, if you do this, you will make more friends, or you will, kind of find your center and balance, and, like, just kind of throwing myself into something, like, just picking one thing and just doing it, I think would have really helped me my first 2 years, because once I did, like, I had a blast. So.
Awesome. Okay, and actually, we have a couple questions and we're limited on time, so I want to ask Jen a different question. And we're going to actually shift it a little bit of, what do you do now for work? So you went to college, you got this great degree, and it somehow led you to Junior Giants. But aside from being with us every single summer, what do you do on your day-to-day? What's your occupation?
I'm actually a substitute teacher and have been for over a decade. So I am also known as Miss Smith.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite part about being a substitute teacher?
One, that it's different every day, and then getting to develop these relationships with these kids. So I'm all over the place. I do all the different grade levels, all the different classes. But the last couple of years, I've really been at this one middle school in town, and so it's been fun to, like, watch these kids grow. And I did a couple long-term sub jobs. And then when I subbed in high school a couple weeks ago, I saw a bunch of my old kids, and they, like, yelled, "Miss Smith," when they saw me, which is just really fun. And then they were telling me, like, what's going on in their lives now. And, yeah, so it's just really fun to know that investment that you made in making sure that kids feel seen, like, pays off. Because kids, you do matter. You guys are awesome.
I love it. Thanks, Jen. Okay, Kaylee, different question for you. So you have come back summer after summer, season after season to be with us in our Junior Giants team. I'm curious, what keeps you coming back? And for all of our scholars on the call who, they might be considering becoming an ambassador, why should they join our team and serve our community when they're old enough?
Great question. I found out about the ambassador position through my career advisor at my college at San Jose State. And I really didn't know what I was signing up for, honestly, in the beginning. But my first summer, I had such a blast working with the kids. It was my favorite part of the job for sure. I was in the same league for several years, so I got to watch the same kids in my community, like, grow and excel and just, like, increase their confidence and come back each season and just have fun with their friends, play baseball every summer, and they were able to do that in a free program, Junior Giants, and many of the kids maybe wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. So honestly, it's just been such a joy to be a tiny part of something really huge. And
love that. And I don't know if you saw the chat, but Kaden here said that she wants to go to San Jose State and be an ambassador, just like Kaylee. So I was going to say, after this, once we close up this call, please put all of your contact information in the chat. We'll send it in the follow-up too. So if you have any questions, ask us. We were all ambassadors. I was an ambassador too in Citrus Heights right after Daisy moved to Concord. So we're happy to answer any of your questions. And this is like a PSA for you all too, all of you scholars. Once you graduate high school, you are eligible to come join our ambassador team and stay with the Junior Giants and serve your community that served you so much growing up. And we've had so many scholars. I think this past year was like an all-time high of scholar alum that joined our ambassador team. And seriously, they make some of our strongest ambassadors because they had that background. So put it on your radar. We want you to join our team once that time comes. And to Daisy, Jen, and Kaylee, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I'm actually am I passing it over to Bailey?
You can you can pass it to me, but I'm going to pass it right back to Daisy and Jen. But I will just unpin the other two. But Daisy and Jen are going to talk to us about I remember last time we had a little professional development tip that Jen and Abby shared. Abby's one of our other regional ambassadors, and they talked about, like, staying organized and, focusing on tasks and keeping, like, calendars and schedules and stuff like that. But today, Daisy and Jen are going to present another professional exceptional tip, which is asking for letters of recommendation. And that's something that you've actually already done because you needed it to apply for the scholarship, which is amazing. But you're most likely going to need to ask for many more letters over the course of your high school, college, and then career beyond that. So they're going to share a few tips on how to ask for letters of recommendation. So I'll let them take it away.
Perfect. Hi again, guys. And fun fact, I actually got an ask today. I got a text from an old ambassador who wanted a letter of recommendation, so it fits in real nice.
It was a small world. They knew you were an expert on it.
Indeed. All right. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So we've got a little presentation. Hold, please. Hold, please. Sorry, guys. Apparently Canva don't want me to do this. Maybe. Daisy, go ahead and talk.
All right, awesome. Okay. Well,
Okay, there we go.
there we go. So, awesome. We broke up, at letters of recommendations in kind of like these 3 stages, right? So the first one is just kind of like, doing the pre-work and thinking, okay, like who am I gonna ask? What is kind of going on? So, okay, we can talk about the first one. So, who are you asking? So looking at kind of like why you need the letter of rec. So like, is it for a job? Is it for something for school? Kind of really looking at the prompt and thinking, okay, like who could really speak on this for me? So who would be a good fit? And then really thinking about like, okay, why am I asking this person? Do they know me really well? Do they have experience of me doing something similar with them? So good examples, depending on, what it is. We were thinking, coaches, teachers, especially if it's something school related, youth pastors, school counselors. So anyone who's, typically like mentored you or seen you play or like some work experience are great examples and people to ask for letters of rec.
Yes, and not a family member.
Oh, yes.
That's one of the key things. Like, someone who's related to you is not really the best unless they have worked with you in the capacity that you're, like, looking for. Like, if you've helped them at this job or something.
Yeah, because often it'll be viewed as a conflict of interest.
All right, next one.
Yeah, kind of next piece.
So, you want me to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So how to ask. Email is best to be able to send them. The one that I had today, she sent me a nice long text and asked if I was willing and if I was, how to send, or how she wanted me to send. No, how she wanted. I wanted her to send the information to me. Sorry, and I said to email it. Which is perfect. So. Because email, it's there, but also make sure to follow up because, as you know, email boxes and your text inbox all gets loaded up at times and things get buried. Also, make sure to give as much notice as possible. Give a time/deadline of when you're going to need this letter of recommendation by, so they can add it to their calendar and their to-do list. And then provide guidance of what it is that you're looking for. So why do you need this letter of recommendation? What are you hoping that they'll say about you? It's awesome if you can provide a resume and just kind of like maybe answer some questions that they might have of what you want answered or said about you in this letter of rec.
Yeah, I think Jen hit the majority of it. I was just going to say one thing that I've had people do for me in the past, I think Jen kind of spoke on this, they would send me an email with the ask and then text me and say, hey, I just sent you an email, just wanted to, put it on my radar, which that was really helpful for me to just kind of like keep an eye on it or know that was like coming. And then I think I saw something in the chat about, just kidding, this fucking research, just me. But in timeline, yeah, definitely giving as much notice as possible. Obviously, it kind of depends on your, how much time you have. But giving people as much time as possible. I can take it if you want. But continuing on with the ask. When you're asking, make sure you're being really specific and explicit on how it needs to be submitted. So, do they need to upload it somewhere? Do they need it, just send it back to you and you're going to be the person to do it? And then, yeah, that's great. And then how long does it need to be? Does it need to be printed and whatnot? So making sure that you're looking at all those little details. Like if I've had to create accounts before, so making sure that you are kind of really familiar with the process before you ask.
Right. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about was following up and how important it is to follow up and check in before the deadline. So if you just email someone and say, hey, I would love if you could write me a letter of recommendation for the future without a deadline, their odds are good that's going to get lost. I think I actually have one or two in my inbox right now that I forgot about. So have a set deadline. Like, it would be great if you could get this back to me by December 1st or something. Just because we all need deadlines sometimes, or due dates. Otherwise procrastination kicks in. And then lastly, show appreciation and thank you. Small gifts and thank you notes go a long way. Small gifts like a Starbucks gift card or something along those lines. And thank you note, either handwritten or emailed, really goes a long way to show that you're appreciate. Oh my goodness, I can't say that you appreciate the person for taking the time to write this letter of recommendation for you. So,
I think the only thing I was going to say that we added, Jen, was we had talked about this too, about something when you're following up, like I would set a deadline for the person as well, but then I would also set kind of like check-in or like deadlines for yourself where, you might want to like check in with the person a week before and be like, hey, just a reminder that's due in a week. Let me know if you have any questions. And kind of setting those deadlines and follow-ups for yourself as well is really helpful for the person writing your letter of rec. People are often busy. You're busy, so that way it gets done, and no one forgets.
Yeah, and like especially if you're asking like a teacher, just they've got so much going on and so many other emails going through. So definitely check in and set those reminders for sure. But they would be very happy to do it for you. I have no doubt. Yes, you are all great kids who already got your letters of recommendation. They got you this awesome scholarship. So good job, team. Way to go.
Yes, Daisy and Jen, so great to see you. Thank you so much for sharing all of this insight with everyone. It's so helpful, and I know you all write a lot of letters of recommendation, so thank you so much for that. But just to wrap up the last few things, because I know we're at time, let's see. Just a reminder, I know you all know this, but you can receive 2 hours of community service for attending this call. So we're keeping track on our end, but you can always keep track as well. And then if you watch the recording later, you get 1 hour of community service. So it always helps to watch it live if you can. And then we'll send out the recap email tomorrow with the recording, so you can rewatch it or forward it to anyone. And then our next scholar session is going to be Thursday, November 18th. It's always the third Thursday of every month from 5 to 6 p.m. So that's Thursday, November 18th is the next one. And then we're going to take off the month of December for the holidays, and then we'll reconvene in January. So next one will be our last one of the year. But thank you all again for joining. We'll let everyone go, and I know you all have dinner and homework and lots of other fun things to do. But great to see you all as always, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.